Hey everybody, it's Justin here with 52 Kinds of Love, and I just finished up week 22, and I'm going to let you know how it went. So week 22 was dedicated to Chris Gutierrez, and he's a Chicago author, and he is straight edge, hence the hand with the X on it. And if you don't know what that means, it means that you choose to live a life that is free of drugs and free of alcohol. And I first kind of connected with Chris when I was in college. I've never met him. I don't know him. But I first kind of connected with him when I saw that he stuck to his word, and he believed in something, and he didn't falter from that. And sometimes I felt like when I was in college that I was the only one who wasn't drinking or smoking. So I definitely looked up to him as a role model and a mentor a little bit, even though he had no idea that he was playing that role. Now, where I really discovered Chris is through a blog that I had way back in the day, and Chris is, well, he's the subject of a Fall Out Boy song. There's a song written about him by the band Fall Out Boy, and hey Chris, you were our only friend, and I know this is belated, but we loved you back. I love Fall Out Boy back in the day, and I went to every single concert of theirs from 2002 to 2006 in the state of Ohio, from Cleveland to Columbus to Cincinnati. I went to every show, and that band and a lot of other bands at the time just kind of gave me a voice. They said the things that I didn't know how to say. And one of the things that I've learned this week through going back and reading some of Chris's book is that that's okay. It's cool to have musicians and authors and poets and artists that speak for us, but we have to learn to find our own voice. And definitely in college I was struggling as to who I was and how to find my voice and what that voice would even be or sound like. So it was kind of a nice revisit, because this book is actually some of his works from 2004 to 2008, so part of the time I was in college, and it put some little comments in the bottom. So like on one page is his words, and on the other side is like what he was thinking, and he'll admit to his mistakes or why he wrote that in that moment. So those are all of his blog posts from LiveJournal, this blog site that we used to be on. But it's been cool to take his attitude on for the week, because I'll be honest, I did a crappy job of dedicating the week to him. I was writing about 130 poems for my about 130 students. I write one for each kid at the end of every year. And I know that's not an excuse, but that's kind of how busy I was this week. But I think that Chris kind of was a part of that because of how he helped me find my voice with poetry. And so I hope that a little of him had seeped into each one of those poems. I feel like I did truly take on his mentality. And two of the things that I learned back in the day were from Chris. Number one, how to truly be open to overcoming the fear of love. Lots of people get nervous around love and circumstances that involve it, and he just said you had to dive in, and I like that. And number two, he said sometimes you just got to say F it to the world and to certain things, and stand up for yourself, and not always take the quiet road or sit quietly in the back. So definitely things that I took in mind for the week. A couple of little things that I've done besides just reading the book for the week. I talked to a friend who had actually seen one of Chris's little poetry readings at a house many, many years ago, and she sent me those videos, so it was cool to experience that, because I've never heard him speak. And I rode my bike a lot. So as far as I know, Chris rides his bike in Chicago, and I figured it's a beautiful day out, so why don't I go for a bike ride? That's just a lot of trees, that's not very pretty. So I rode my bike around a lot this week, to the library, through the metro parks, and to dinner tonight actually. So I rode my bike to all those places. And I posted a couple things on Instagram thanking him, and he gave a little emoji with a, I don't know, gracias hands. But that was cool, he at least noted that. But one of my favorite things that happened was was something shitty that happened, to be honest. And I was kind of glad that I had his mentality because of how I reacted. So I was on a little island here at Lake Erie, and after the day had passed, we were taking the boat back, and this girl was crying on the boat, and she said someone stole her phone. She had grabbed a friend's phone and tried to call her own, and some dude picked up and basically was really, really mean to her, and then hung up the phone and didn't answer it from there. And what are you going to do at that point? You're not on the island anymore. And so she was just crying there, and I didn't know what to do. And I wish I could have just walked up and handed her $200 and said, don't worry about it. But I don't think that's really what she was upset about. Maybe losing some pictures, but I think what we're really upset about is that people in this world can act that way, and that's how we treat each other. And I was like, Chris wouldn't just sit here. And so I just stood up, and I walked over to her, and I just gave her a big hug. And I whispered in her ear something like, look, it sucks. I know it sucks, but at the end of the day, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. And that person sucks. That's the story. And anytime he uses that phone, he has to live with the guilt of what he did. And just forget it. In a week, you're going to have a new phone. And yeah, you don't have all those pictures, but it's just a thing, and you can buy it, and it's not terrible at the end of the day. And look, I don't know that I fixed anything. I don't know that I restored her faith in humanity, but maybe it did a tiny bit. It was better than saying nothing. And so I'm glad that I took on that attitude of Chris and I had that just in mind, so I could at least feel like I could do something. So, Chris, I don't know, maybe that girl's day feels a little bit better, just because I got to be in your mindset this week. So, anyways, yeah, I don't know what else to say, except for I'm really glad that someone like Chris showed me how to really have a voice and be proud of who you are and not be afraid to try new things and talk about things that are uncomfortable and that are challenging, because that's all life. It's all life. So as we head into the next week, it will be dedicated to the one in the middle, Jeremy. So check in next week to see who Jeremy is, why there's a calculator on there, and how the week goes. All right? Bye. Peace. 52 kinds of love.